Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about the moral you tell in your story, okay? And we're going to talk about getting that right. And do you have the morals to tell? Do you have the correct alignment to tell a Dungeons and Dragons a moral with a Dungeons and Dragons campaign or with a session? All right, let's get into this. Oh, and this is based off of what I learned in Creed 3. All right, there are spoilers, and we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons in context of the film Creed 3. So, spoilers for Creed 3. All right, so I got to see Creed 3. It was really fantastic. Actually, this is fascinating. I had a great time watching Creed 3, but I can't say it's a good movie because I think it has a really bad moral message in it. And I think the Ryan Coogler, I don't think he knows. What is his alignment? I don't think he's absolutely not good aligned. I don't think he's evil aligned. So Ryan Coogler did Black Panther, and he did I think he did Black Panther 1, Black Panther 2. And then also he's done the Creed films, which I really liked Creed 1 and Creed 2. I really feel there's a bad moral message in Creed 3, and I cannot say it's a good movie. I would still say it's a 4 out of 5 star movie. Here's the problem. Or actually, here's what's really interesting is it's not a good movie, but I had a really good time going to see it. And that's complicated, and I don't even have, I don't really have the full, I don't have the time to get into why I had a really good time going to see a not good movie. It's not a bad, it's got a bad moral message in it. It's complicated. Well, let's get there. Okay, so first of all, you say, Scott, you telling moral messages in your Dungeons and Dragons campaigns? Yes. What do you think alignment's there for? Not only is it questioning what alignment your player character is, every time you pick up that character sheet, it's asking what alignment you are. So yes, there are clearly moral messages that are carried by Dungeons and Dragons. And if you don't get that, in my humble opinion, you should never sit in the Dungeon Master seat, right? We absolutely tell moral messages. And that's why alignment is packed throughout the game from day one to day, they just put, actually, there was massive importance on alignment in Dragonlance Shadow of the Dragon Queen, which is like the second to last Dungeons & Dragons canon hardback, right? All right. So let's get into the moral message that Creed 3 represents, right? So it's really bad. Okay, so basically, it was a compelling story, all right? So Dame, played by Jonathan Majors, played extremely well, unbelievably well. Jonathan Majors, I'm in, man. I'll see whatever movie he's in now. He's absolutely fantastic. I think he's one of the most rising stars in Hollywood today. I think he's really, really talented. All right, so he plays Dame, who's a prisoner who's coming out of an 18-year prison sentence and gets a shot at the title, at the World Heavyweight Boxing title, right? And he's given this shot by Adonis Creed, who is Apollo Creed's son from Rocky, okay? And Adonis Creed is the star of Creed 1, 2, and 3, right? So Adonis Creed is... So we learn that Adonis Creed, when he was, I'm pretty sure, he was 16 years old, he and Dame snuck out at night, right, to, so he's fooling his parents, right? He's actually, the better way to say it is he's fooling his guardian, right? And, you know what? I think it is his parent at that point. It gets complicated. All right, so his guardian or his parent, he fools them, he tricks them, and what he does is he, very, very interesting. So he's fooling them, and he sneaks out with Dame, and the two of them go out to do, to actually do boxing, right? Like to fight in a boxing round, right? And actually, I think it's an illegal boxing ring because they go in through a very unusual, they have to go through. It's almost like being brought into an illegal casino. So I think it's an illegal boxing ring. So they're underage, participating in an illegal boxing ring, sneaking out at night, and right then, Adonis Creed is helping Damon Anderson. That's his friend, and to box, and he's essentially his corner man. You know what I mean? His coach, and he sees that Dame has lots of cash, which he puts down on a bet. So they're underage gambling now, right? And in addition to that, they're what was the other thing they did? It's interesting. There's one more. Oh, Dame has an illegal short iron, right? Don't bring a knife to a short iron fight, right? So the two of them go, and Dame wins the fight, and they decide to celebrate. So they go to a store called Liquors and Cash Checking, and there's a man who comes out of the liquor and cash checking place, and this was a man who had beaten Adonis when he was in not orphan care, but like when he was an orphan, okay? Which actually, when he was in the foster care system, So Adonis immediately just launches out and begins beating this man, right? His past beater, right? Now, ethically, I think he's probably justified, right? By the law, there's no justification, right? Like, and this is completely illegal, right? The problem is, Dame actually pulls out his illegal short iron, and Dame goes to jail, and nothing happens to Adonis. Then Adonis never goes and talks, just lets Dame go to the prison, Dame Anderson, go to prison, and never visits him, ever, right? So then Dame comes out 18 years later, and he's able to coerce, through guilt, Adonis Creed into getting him a shot at the world title. He wins the world title, and then he's going to fight Adonis Creed, right? And then we're told, as the viewer, that, and literally multiple characters tell Adonis, let go of the guilt. This isn't your fault. I'm like, what part of the story did you guys miss? This is 100% Adonis's fault. 100%, right? Because the reality is, Dame brought that illegal short iron out because of the very clear action and completely against the law action of Adonis. Dame would have never went to prison without Adonis. This is 100% on Adonis. You know, because Dame was protecting him when he was getting beat down by multiple people. Oh, because the guy who was beating 2 other people came out. So now he's getting beat down by 3 other people. He could definitely die. Dame stops the whole thing, saves his life, in my humble opinion, right? And then goes to prison for 18 years. That's 100% on Adonis, right? And the movie ends with Dame saying, it wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. It wasn't your fault. You don't need to feel bad about this. And then Adonis saying, it's not on you. Dame says, it's not on you. And then Adonis says, it's not on you. I'm like, the message of this is that you break the law in multiple clear ways, and it's not on anyone? That is an absolutely horrific, that is an absolutely horrific moral message, right? So I think Ryan Coogler absolutely had zero control he had zero self-awareness and did not know that he was quite literally telling a story with a very, not good aligned, not neutral aligned. This message is horrific, right? And what really frustrated me is in the seats were lots of impressionable young people. And I'm like, you do not want to teach them that if they choose to break the law when they're young, it's not on them. That is not, that is a horrifically bad moral message, right? So Creed has a horrifically, not a good aligned moral message, not a neutral aligned moral message. You know, you understand what I'm saying? Woo! It's bad, right? So this is what I'm saying. You proceed with Dungeons and Dragons, you are in a seat to tell a moral message. Where it gets bad, in my humble opinion, is when you don't recognize that. You are definitely in a bad spot. Or when you recognize that you're telling a moral message, but you're not self-aware to know what a good aligned or neutral aligned moral message is. That is really bad, really bad. So basically, honestly, I would skip Creed 3. I would skip Creed 3. No, I can't say that. You should see Creed 3. There's good reasons to see a movie with a bad moral message, but you should go in knowing it has a bad moral message. And the reason, and it's a whole different video on why you should pay money to see a movie with a bad moral message. We live in a complicated world. But when you move forward as a dungeon master, make sure you are self-aware. And here's the other one, is if you're in a good aligned, if you yourself are good aligned, proceed. If you're in a neutral line, you might want to think twice before you tell any stories with a moral message in it. And if you don't, hey, what do you think Dungeons & Dragons is doing? It's replacing science, theology, philosophy, and politics. Go get yourself to somebody who actually is faith-based and has some chance of telling a good aligned moral message. So that would have been the steps for Ryan Coogler. And if you're neutral aligned, make sure. If you're evil aligned as a person, you shouldn't even be in the dungeon master seat, in my humble opinion. Okay, if you know that about yourself, some people know it, right? But if you're neutral aligned, you need to check in with a faith-based person on the moral messages you're actually projecting to make sure it is actually good aligned. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.